Ciao friends and welcome back to 2sexted. Thank you so much everyone who has already joined the Discord server. If you haven't already, you can do so down below in the pinned comment. I was talking to a few people on there and they were saying that the kind of content they really like to see from this channel is the more prediction-y, speculation-y stuff that I do. So I thought I'd bring you one of those today. The first F1 race I watched as an adult was Spa 2019. Where Charles Leclerc, driving for Ferrari, started from pole and defended from Lewis Hamilton for the win. He then did the same thing the very next week in Monza, and started from pole in Singapore only to be beaten by his teammate on strategy. But since then, Ferrari haven't won any races. A lot of people expect them to be winning, not just races, but championships too. And it made me wonder, how long will it be until Ferrari are back up on top again? It wasn't all that long ago that Ferrari were fighting for the championship. 2017, 2018, they had shots. They lost, but not for lack of trying. They just didn't win. It's fine. But they still won a significant number of races, in this case with Sebastian Vettel and once with Kimi Räikkönen. And in 2019, while they may not have been fighting for the championship, they did come quite a convincing second. Although, of course, that was with a power unit that may have not been quite legal. Ferrari thought they'd found a loophole in 2019, but it turned out it was instead a brick wall, and the FIA got annoyed and made them stop. And frankly, that wouldn't have been so bad. But this was all made a lot worse when a small issue of a global pandemic happened. Ferrari were expecting, like most teams, for 2020 to be effectively a stopgap. So they weren't developing their 2019 car all that much for 2020. They were expecting the same engine from the SF90, with development on top, and a way of taking the SF90's chassis, adding a bit of downforce so it wasn't just a slippery bugger, and you have the SF1000. Except if you take away that engine, because they weren't allowed to use it, and instead put in an engine that was hastily developed and significantly slower than their competitors, they end up in the lower midfield. Especially in a year where development was limited already, and this year, because the next set of regulations have been pushed back, Ferrari have to take the SF1000 and try and do what they can with it, with only very limited development tokens over the course of the season. It does at least have a new spec power unit, but beyond that there's only so much they can do. Ferrari definitely one of the big losers with this delay. This year, the SF21 looks like a solid competitor for 4th in the championship. McLaren likely have 3rd sewn up, and unless Alpine and Aston Martin can pull some tricks out of their limited bags, then it looks like that's where Ferrari will stay. So, beyond some miracles this year, I can't see Ferrari winning any races. Although, of course, miracles do happen. They happened twice last year. AlphaTauri and Racing Point both won races. And I'm not saying that those drivers didn't drive their hearts out, and I'm not saying the teams didn't pull miracle strategies. But let's face it, they wouldn't have won without Mercedes cocking up and Red Bull retiring. I say Red Bull, I mean Max retiring. Sorry, Alex. Really quick, we're actually getting really close to 400 subscribers, so if you haven't already, please consider doing so down below, and maybe sharing this video with anyone you think might like it. So 2021 wins for Ferrari I don't think are on the table. Wins on merit especially not. And Ferrari were pinning their hopes quite strongly on next year's car, the 2022 car that was originally the 2021 car. New set of regulations coming in with a budget cap, so Ferrari were hoping to spend their significant budget not on the 2020 car, and instead they were spending it on the 2021 car before the budget cap came in. But due to the pandemic, the budget cap stayed in the same year, 2021, but the regulations got pushed back a year. And in 2020, all work on the 2022 car was banned. So that levelled the field a little bit, which is not helping Ferrari's cause. But of course the same thing will have happened to Mercedes and Red Bull. But they weren't at a disadvantage in 2020. So I would like to see them on top in 2022. I think that's the earliest it could happen. Whether or not it does is a different matter. I think they have the drivers for it. I think Charles has proven that he can win races, and Carlos Sainz, while he hasn't won a race yet, probably will. I think it's going to be quite a close battle between Ferrari and McLaren for their first win in a while. I've often said one bad year does not make a bad team, and it's true. And I think in this case, it isn't a sign that Ferrari are on a downwards path, like maybe McLaren were in the early turbo hybrid era or Williams in the latter. Ferrari have at least bounced back somewhat from last year already in what is a fairly development limited season. As for winning championships, the last time they managed that was 2007 with Kimi Raikkonen, and then it was only by 1 point from Fernando Alonso and Lewis Hamilton, who were tied. So just to put that into perspective, that was Lewis Hamilton's rookie year. Lewis Hamilton has won 7 titles since Ferrari last won 1. Sebastian Vettel's won 4. They of course came close in 2008 with Felipe Massa, but they didn't quite pull that off. They also came close in 2010 and 2012 with Fernando Alonso, and didn't quite pull it off. And 17 and 18, and didn't quite pull it off with Vettel. Close but no cigar has been Ferrari's motto for a while now. Unless they pull a blinder with these new regulations, I can't see them winning a title, unfortunately. I'd love to see them fighting for one at the very least, but at this point, I would just take some wins. But, of course, that's just what I think. I'd love to hear what you think down in the comments and in the brand new Discord server. When do you think Ferrari will take their first win? And do you think they'll beat McLaren to it or not? Oh, and let me know if you enjoyed this style of video. Please consider liking the video if you did indeed like it. Thank you all so very much for watching, and I will see you next time.